Hey everybody, how you doing? AmpRepairGuy.com here. So I'm going to do a quick video. Here's the power supply. I ended up going through it. It's the one that came in on a trade from ham radio operator. It was resold to another ham radio operator. So has the transformer in it that I made a video on before. I added bleeder resistors, a new oil fill cap, a glitch resistor, and replaced the high voltage wire minus the one that goes up the RF deck. So it originally had a 7.5 meg resistor in here for the bleeder. It must have taken forever for that to bleed down. You know, if you do the math, 4500 times 1.414, since it has a full wave bridge, come out to 6363 volts. So that resistor had about 5.39 watts of dissipation. It was dissipating about 5.39 watts. Of course, you know, that's 240, and most people have more than 240, so the secondary voltage was, I'm sure, higher than 63 with no load, especially no bleeder load to really speak of. So I put in 400K worth of new resistors, 100 watt ohmite wire wound resistors. So they're dissipating 101 watts in total, 25.3 watts per resistor, you know, assuming they have the 6363 volts. So whenever I pick a resistor, I like it to be dissipating half or less of whatever its total value is, just so it'll, you know, I don't have to worry about it running hot or failing or anything. And, you know, if this person were to change the tube in the RF deck, they can go to the next tap, and the resistors will handle the increased voltage. You don't have to worry about them overheating. So I added reverse connected safety diodes between the B negative side of the filter cap and ground. Those are very, very important to have. So all the B negatives are actually lifted above ground now. The metering wasn't wired correctly, so now it is. You have the 20 ohm glitch. It's a ohmite core rib type, and so that's what everything looks like. So like I said, B negatives are all lifted above ground. They're all connected to that blue wire down there. It goes up to the RF deck. With capacitors, you really want to make sure you get the right type of cap. Not all caps are equal. You want to look up ESR and the importance of the ESR value of a capacitor. Some people use those high energy discharge caps, those pulse caps. This is a General Electric broadcast cap, came out of a broadcast transmitter, and I'm sure someone will say something about the little surface rest on my nut. But they replaced some high voltage wire with GTO wire. Here are the old wires that went to the rectifier, and some electrical tape, and looks like it was arcing to the diodes. So change those out. So I'll show you the RF deck. Such a mess here, but you know, clean shops is the one you want to stay away from, because that means they don't have any work. So here's the stock the stock bias board. Originally had 3 amp diodes. I swapped them out with 10 amp. 3 amp ones I'm sure were running hot. This relay was unsecured, so I resecured it. It had like a forced bias type setup, like the old Heath kits used. I put a self bias in with a 20K resistor. You can use a resistor at lower value, but I have like literally 300 or 400 of these, so I'm not going to get into how that works. You can look up how bias circuits work. So I have not checked anything else. I'll resonate the input circuit and the output circuit once I get some parts that I'm waiting on. I noticed some other issues. Let me flip this over. First off, this cabinet, beautiful. I'm not saying anything bad about the builder or his work or anything. Put this back here. But yeah, these cabinets are like spot welded or something together, so getting certain parts out would probably be next to impossible. I don't know how I would do that. Like if I had to, I guess I could use like a right angle screwdriver, but you know, getting your hand down in there would be difficult. So he has a line section here. Those connections were loose on either side. The nuts were loose, so I tightened them up, and I got my big soldering gun down there, and I soldered the ring terminals to the stud, the brass stud, so those are nice and tight now. Those connections here are loose. This one's still loose. This one was really loose. That's the output one. So I had to buy another Bristol wrench set since I couldn't find the little mini one to tighten these. So I'm going to loosen them, take them off, and then put split washers between the screw head and the ring terminal, and then resecure it. I'm also changing those carbon resistors. You don't want to use carbon resistors for meter dropping resistors. Carbon resistors aren't rated for the voltage, and they can absorb moisture, and eventually they'll flash, and you'll end up with the full potential of the plate on the high voltage meter. So I went ahead and rewired the meters. I ended up doing it from the bottom. I couldn't get at the connections from this side, so I will show you the metering scheme. It's kind of a cheat sheet if anyone wants to hook up a meters. Basically have all the B negatives, the bleeders, rectifier, filter cap. You have the safety diodes that go from the B negative to ground, to the chassis. So the B negatives connect to the B negative on the plate current meter, and the positive on the plate current meter is bonded to the positive on the grid current meter, and then the negative on the grid current meter connects to the chassis. So then the junction of the two meters connects back to your bias circuit. You have the cutoff resistor that gets shorted out when you key it, and then your string of diodes, and then back to your center tap. So that's how that works. Super simple. And if you ever have a short, those diodes will clamp the B negative, so the B negative can't come up to the same potential as the plate, the B positive, and it protects the plate current meter, so you don't have to worry about taking that out. So waiting on the Bristol wrench set and the replacement resistors for the meter dropping resistors, and then I'll slap it back together. I'll put the two back in and resonate the input and output networks, make sure they're okay, get it close to being in tune, and fire it up and make another video on the sag, the power supply sag that I'll end up having. So I decided to leave the blower as it is. Usually I don't draw it out like this, but it's just, I'm going to leave it. It's such a big blower, and I was told by a couple other people just to leave it, that it'll work. But I usually do it the other way. I usually pressurize the bottom. I don't draw the air from the RF deck out of the RF deck and have a solid cover on it. I pressurize the bottom and have the bottom cover be solid, not the top solid with the perforated cover on the bottom. I do the exact opposite, but I'm going to leave it alone. So once again, this guy is an awesome builder. I'm not knocking him or anything. Just a little few issues, that's all. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.